What we've introduced in DaVinci Resolve 16 is a new cut page that strips back a lot of the processes and gives us a much more simple way and a faster way of working. So it allows editors to really approach projects and quickly build content to put it out as fast as possible. So the cut page in DaVinci Resolve 16 is a much more simpler UI. It's designed to really throw away all the extra information that we don't need and concentrate on giving us clips, a single source view, and then this dual timeline system. And what you'll see on the dual timeline is the upper timeline shows my entire sequence from beginning to end and gives me block information about how cuts have been made and the duration, the timing of my edit. The bottom timeline has a fixed playhead through which I can see my timeline behaving, and I can see cuts, and I can see a close-up of my timeline with thumbnails of the actual contextual information, to which I can then start to work with and start to make changes inside of that timeline itself. So one of the key things we have as well is how do we actually make decisions about the clips and the shots that are in DaVinci and in my project. Now, rather than having multiple bins or smart bins, or having to sift and rename shots and organize them, we can just quickly go into particular bins and information in a project, and I can have a thumbnail view if I wanted to, which would give me the ability to scrub through. And if I change back to my viewer mode here, you can see I can just scrub through and see. Or if I wanted to see metadata and information about the file, I can actually go into a list view. One of the cool things I can actually do in Resolve 16 though is I can actually see these shots in clip. Or what I could do is if I have multiple clips inside of a folder, I can also go to something called source tape. And source tape will take all my clips and lock them all together in a single clip. So then I can actually route and scrub through my entire bin of information just in one go. And it means I can run through and quickly make in-out marker points, drag shots down to the timeline, and just keep moving through all the clips without having to go back to my bins and sort and sift through those. So if you are a laptop user, if you are just cutting items together in a hotel room, certainly Resolve 16 can do that. And the cut page makes it even simpler. The UI has been decluttered. The speed and the efficiencies and how we can actually grab shots, grab media, cut them, add quick transitions, and then deliver directly even just from the cut page itself is essential to the way that we want people to work. And by creating two different ways of approaching it, we've not changed how you can use the edit page. We've not taken anything away from the complexity and the capability of that edit system. We've added another way of thinking about how you can work. And of course, you could start to build and work in the cut page. And by all means, you could then go to your sequence in the edit page and then go into the depths of changing your resolutions and changing out what you're going to render and adding titles or adding different transitions. So you can work in many different ways, but certainly the cut page is designed for speed. It's designed for getting content cut, delivered, and typically that's going to be people out in the field, maybe working just solely on laptops. So one of the things that was important when we built the cut page as well was that you could stay in the cut page just for all the work you needed to do. So we added some additional little options up here in terms of maybe exporting information and your project out. So clicking on the quick export option, I can create a H.264 or a H.265 file and export that out to my desktop. Or even better than that, I can actually go into my YouTube account. So with the export options, I can manage my upload. I can choose my YouTube account, my Vimeo, or my Frame.io account and render directly to those systems. And even with the Frame.io, it will also send marker information, so it supports that element of the system. So it means, again, if we're working quickly and efficiently, we can cut, we can make decisions editorially, we can start to finesse the shots, trim them, add transitions, and then just put that content straight up online. Of course, like with all of the bigger, broader announcements around Resolve and all the sort of additional pages and work, there's some really cool little things that have been added, almost like niche tools or kind of little hidden gems inside Resolve. One in the cut page we think will be really useful for people is the ability to actually change your aspect ratio directly. So for example, we can actually turn this project from that timeline into a portrait mode, which would allow us to upload directly to social media accounts. And what I can do in this particular shot, for example, is just reposition the context of the shot, maybe go down my timeline and make a few little changes, alterations, and then just export that directly out if I wanted to do that. What we've also done in terms of some of the way that Resolve works with you as a user when you're cutting and quickly either working in the cut page or the edit page is Resolve understands some of your motions and some of the actions that you're making. So as we grab a shot and potentially take it towards a cut point, Resolve will understand the motion of your mouse movement, for example, and decide whether it needs to turn snapping on and off. So those times where we try and move close to a trim point and it jumps over to the snap and you've had to keyboard command that off, Resolve now knows whether you want to pull in or you might be slowing down, so it knows to take the snapping away. Another great feature we've added in Resolve 16 is the ability to create multiple timelines in a project with different frame rates. So when we choose to create a new timeline, we can actually go into some custom settings now and change the format and then change some of the timeline systems. So that means we can actually, in a single project, almost master out to whatever time base we want to, rather than having to create different renders or work within those limitations.